Hey everyone, let's make some elderberry syrup today. This is Herbalist Natalie with the Herb Stop, and today we're going to do an easy and simple recipe on how to make your own elderberry syrup at home. This is adapted from our elderberry syrup that we use at the shop, but I've left out some ingredients because they can be a little bit difficult to source, such as Osha root. So today we're going to make this as easy as possible and even use one of our teas. This is our very berry elderberry, and it is full of everything already. So it's elderberries, currants, hibiscus, and then some natural organic flavoring, which does matter. So there's no weird ingredients in here, and it's ready to go. You could theoretically just make the syrup out of this, but I wanted to make it a little bit stronger. We're going to be using the Instapot, but not on the pressure cooker setting. So you can use any type of crock pot that you have, or even you could do on the stove on low, but this is going to be running for a few hours. So make sure that you keep an eye on it and don't leave your house, obviously, when it's cooking. For the sake of this video, I'm going to use a clear bowl so that you can see what I'm doing, because the Instapot is metal and you can't see inside of it. So I'm just going to start with my bowl here, but skip this step and just put it right into your crock pot. I have a whole jar here of our very berry elderberry, which is 5 ounces. So if you decided you wanted to just use straight elderberries, which we do have on our website, a nice organic, 8 ounces, so you would have a little left over, or you could make a larger batch. But we're going to start with this, so 5 ounces of our very berry elderberry tea, and we'll just put that right in there. And then we're going to add a couple fun things. So you could add orange peel, you could add, like I said, Osha root, you could add a bunch of different ingredients, even Echinacea, Astragalus, anything that you see fit for maybe what your needs are. I was trying to make something here today that would be effective as well as yummy for the entire family, except under the age of 1, because I am going to be using honey. So I'm going to take a cinnamon stick, and these are kind of short, which is good because we don't want to overpower the entire formula, and I'm only going to put 1 inside of here. So I'm just using Herb Stop cinnamon sticks, and we have our tea. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of clove. I love clove because clove has a component in it called eugenol, and it's the main component in here. And that actually is what dentists use on that little cotton swab before they give you the needle when they're numbing your mouth. So eugenol is fantastic for a variety of things, but it can also coat the throat. And if you're having like a sore throat or sore mouth, it can really actually help, almost like in an anesthetic type of way, of course, without being harmful. So I'm going to use just a little bit of clove. So what is that? I would say less than a tablespoon. So we've got 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 cloves in here. And it's just a little teeny tiny amount. We don't want to overpower, again, the formula. And that's going to go right in there. I happened to harvest some thyme, and thyme is incredible. Before we had refrigeration, we used to use thyme leaf to actually cure meat and things like that to prevent bacteria and disease from growing. So thyme is a super important herb for the lungs and for your overall health. If you don't have fresh thyme, we also sell thyme in a spice jar. You could get it in bulk, whatever works best for you. I'm going to leave the entire wooded stem in here because it's going to be easier for me to strain when we're all done. But feel free, if you want to not use the stem, you just hold and pull backwards and all the leaves come off. So little trick there, but I'm going to use the entire thing. So that's going to go in there. And the amount of water you use is going to be dependent on how long you're going to be cooking it. So I'm going to start off with a medium amount of water, and I'll show you the height that we're looking for. And again, you can adjust this based on whatever your needs are. If you're looking for a thinner syrup or a thicker syrup. Sorry, we were interrupted by my dogs barking. Okay, so here we are back again with our herbs and everything in the bowl. Again, if you wanted to make it thinner or thicker, just adjust the amount of water that we're going to be using. So here we are. This is purified water. I sent it through our Berkey, so there's no plastics or any weird things like that. If all you have access to is bottled water, go ahead and do that. Anything that's filtered. You just don't want tap water because of obvious reasons. So, all right. So I'm going to start. This only measures up to 16 ounces. So we'll start there, and then we pour over. And you can see it's definitely going to blow up a lot larger as the herbs soak the water in. So we're going to definitely add more. So here we have now 32 ounces in that 5 ounces of herbs. And that's starting to look a little bit better. For me, that's still not enough water. I just know from experience that the herbs are going to suck that all up, and we're going to have a heck of a time trying to get the liquid back out. So we're going to go for another 16 ounces. So we've now got 48 in here. And that looks perfect to me. I'm going to put all of this in the Instapot and set it for 4 hours. You could definitely do it for 6 to 8 hours if you like. Even at the store, we do it for 3 days. So you could definitely cook this a lot longer. We have different equipment at the store, obviously, but for your home needs, we're just going to Instapot this on the crock pot setting on low for 4 hours. Okay, I'll see you in 4 hours. All right, it's been 5 hours, so 4 hours of cooking and 1 hour to let this cool. When you cool off your elderberry syrup, you want to make sure you leave the lid on because you don't want any of the volatile oils escaping. All right, so I still want it to be a little bit warm, not hot. You don't want anything above like 110 because we're going to add raw honey. But the heat will also help it dissolve. So we're going to pour everything out into a nice clean bowl. And I'm going to make sure I get as much of those berries out as possible. Here we go. Okay. Now, I like to take out the giant things, so I'm going to take that big thyme bundle out, and I'm also going to take out the cinnamon stick. And then we're going to use the back of the spoon and just carefully press any extra fluid out that we could possibly get. I'm sitting really close to the fluid here, so I'm just going to hold this up while I do it. But this is now our elderberry syrup. Liquid. So, all right. The other option would be to put something heavy on top of this. You could always use like a bowl with something heavy inside of it just to help it drip out. But for the sake of this video, we'll call that good. All right, and then we just want to make sure that we don't have any leaves left on our spoon. Feel free to wash that if you'd like. And now this liquid, we're going to strain. And what I like to do when I strain it, you could stop here if you wanted to, but I find that when you leave plant matter inside of it, it goes rancid a little bit more quickly, as well as kind of can be a little uncomfortable when you're swallowing. So I like to use the brown coffee filters. They're the unbleached kind, and a funnel, and any kind of a glass that you have. I'm just using one of my glass water bottles for our purpose here. And then I'm going to take a ladle and slowly begin to ladle it back in here. And it should drip fairly quickly, so keep your eye on it. And we're just going to ladle right in there. And I'll be back as soon as it's done. Okay, we have everything strained and filtered, and now we are ready to add our honey. So this has a nice measurement system on the side, so we have exactly 35 ounces. Depending on what preservative you're going to be using now, depends on how long you want to keep it. So for our purposes, I plan on using this fairly quickly, and I'm going to give some away as gifts. So what I'm going to do is 12 ounces of honey, which is right around a third of the total volume. So the honey is going to make up a quarter of our entire formula. If you want it to last longer, you can go as high as 1-to-1. So you could use 35 ounces of our elderberry syrup fluid with 35 ounces of honey. Typically, we use glycerin at the store, but you want to make sure that you have a vegetable-based glycerin and you know exactly where it's coming from and that it is food safe. So in this case, I figured it would be easiest if we use something everybody has access to, which would be raw unfiltered honey. So I happen to be using the wildflower one, which comes from Payson, which is local to our area. So what I'm going to do is, while this is still warm, but under 105, 110, I would say no higher than maybe like 115 to keep it raw. So we're just going to pour this in here. Got a little mishap with the honey. So, all right, I am just emptying out the rest of this honey. And if you wanted to get every last bit, which of course we don't want to be wasteful, I always suggest adding some of the liquid back into the container and giving it a nice shake and doing that over and over until you get everything out. I love using wood when I'm dealing with honey. So we are just about there as far as the honey goes. For the sake of our video, we won't clean it out completely. So we're just going to stir and stir and stir until it is 100% dissolved. This may take a little while, especially since we don't want it super hot so it's not destroying the properties of the raw honey as well. And of course, once we're all done with everything melting and mixing together, you definitely want to give it a try and make sure you like the way it tastes. You can always add vanilla extract, you could add an orange extract, you could add anything that you would like to make it taste better. However, I think it tastes amazing, so it just depends on your tastes. And the dosage that I would use would be a teaspoon as needed. So if I was under the weather, I might do a teaspoon 4 times a day. If I'm just trying to keep my immune system happy, I would do probably just a teaspoon a day and see how I'm doing. Remember that dosages are always based on weight. So the average weight is 150 pounds. So if you have somebody that's, say, for the sake of numbers, 75 pounds, you're going to want to do half that dosage. And if somebody's 300 pounds, you're going to want to double the dosage. That's always a good guide based on weight. All right, so we are fully dissolved. So let me grab a spoon and give this a try. It's incredible. It tastes so good. It reminds me of the tea. Plus the cinnamon and clove aren't overpowering. It's just perfect. Leaves a nice cinnamony flavor. Makes me salivate. It's very, very good. So if you want to prolong the shelf life, I would definitely recommend adding more honey to this, or using glycerin, or you could even add brandy if it's for adults. You could do up to maybe like a cup or so, anywhere from 4 to 8 ounces, but you'll want to reduce the amount that you're taking if you're using alcohol. Otherwise, you can add more honey, leave it as is, and just store it in the refrigerator. I hope this was a fun and informative video for you, and I can't wait to see all of your elderberry syrups. Have a wonderful and safe winter.